upon themselves by themselves. It is not a topic given by me. It is one of the topics which students have picked up by themselves. So I am also interested to know what this team has to offer to all of us. All the best to all of you, and please begin your presentation.
Yes. Mm. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I, Prajit, along with my teammates Abhay Kumar Shukla, Abhinav Gupta, Akhil Yadav, and Harsh, will introduce everyone to you towards the topic determining the unconstitutionality of the sedition law. After hearing this topic, the one thing that comes in your mind, what is this sedition? Let me simplify it for you. The use of words or actions that are intended to encourage people to be or act against a government is sedition. Telling some characteristics of sedition are like conduct or speech inciting to rebel against the authority of a state is sedition. Offense of sedition is an incitement to violence. Mere abusive words are not enough to attract sedition. Since we all are law students, you must be thinking, where does this topic of sedition lie in our constitution? Let me tell you. Section 124A of the IPC 1860 describes sedition as whoever by words, either spoken, written, or signed by visible representation, otherwise brings attempts to bring into hatred, contempt, excite disaffections towards the government established by law in India shall be punished under sedition. With the punishment is with imprisonment for life to which fine may be added, or with imprisonment up to 3 years to which fine may be added, or without the fine. So many of you might thinking like, what is sedition? Like, which acts come under sedition? Let me tell you. Will criticizing the government and sloganeering amount to sedition? No. Will criticism of the administrative and other actions of the government amount to sedition? No. For sedition to be present, there should be a basic essence of violence. Now, let me tell you how satirical Bollywood presented sedition. Let me give you a glimpse. All of you might have watched this movie, Rang De Basanti, by director Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra. It's hard to guess where exactly what youth of today would feel if they watch Rang De Basanti for the first time now. It could be that they've been brainwashed to the extent that they view film's protagonists as traitors, not revolutionaries. But if they still have youth's empathy and sympathy, then there is some hope that the current political environment is only because of a passing storm and not an irrevocable decay of the public conscience. I would like to rest my words questioning our audience, like questioning the government is no longer patriotic but seditious. What are your thoughts on this? Now I would like to hand over the presentation to my counterpart Abhinav Gupta to continue further.
Thank you, Prajit. Now, let us see when and why this law was enacted. This law was first formulated in India by the British historian and politician Thomas Macaulay in the 17th century. But it was not included in the IPC, that is Indian Penal Code, when the same was enacted in the year 1860. It was introduced in 1870 in India to deal with the increasing cases of Wahhabi rebellion. The British colonial government introduced Section 124A in Chapter 6 of the Indian Penal Code. This law was famously used against Bal Gangadhar Tilak in the 1897 for the first time. Later, it was used against many freedom fighters. So we all would have heard of these cases of sedition through various news channels or media accounts. So what are the problems with this sedition law? This law nowadays mostly used for the suppression of critiques of government or who raise the questions against the government. Recently, many people were falsely charged with the law of sedition. For example, 22-year-old climate change activist Disha Ravi, who was charged with the sedition law in the Greta Thunberg's toolkit case, but later she was granted bail by the court. The case which led to immediately striking of the law was that of Kanhaiya Kumar, where a JNU student, also a community leader, was charged of sedition for his slogans in reference to Afzal Guru inside the campus. It was highly criticized by the media and the mass. Another striking case of sedition was that of Vinod Dua, a journalist, who was charged of sedition as he had accused PM Narendra Modi of using death and terror attacks to get votes. However, Supreme Court questions the FIR lodged on him and in its judgment said that every journalist is entitled to protection. This colonial era law intended to suppress the voice of freedom continues till today. In the year of 2009, UK itself abolished the law of sedition, as it was considered to be a relic of an era where freedom of expression was not considered a right. But in India, it is still in use to quell the dissenter of government. This sedition law has empowered the executive branch of the government to use the ambiguously defined provision as an instrument to regulate public opinion and indiscriminately wield power. Now, in the next slide, we are going to discuss what the aspects of restriction on the freedom of speech and expression. In our country, the right to freedom of speech and expression is endowed under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. But this law, in some aspects, restricts our freedom of speech and expression. Due to its poor definition, sedition law can be used spuriously by the police to falsely accuse individuals, as it does not clearly state which acts are seditious and provides a broad outline of what can be classified as seditious. It is non-bailable and non-cognizable offense. A person charged with sedition has to live without their passport. They are barred from government jobs and they have to produce themselves in court on a loop along with a legal fees. The charges have rarely been proved in most of the cases, but the process itself becomes the punishment. With this, I ask you all to put your full attention to my next groupmate, Akhil Kumar. Over to you, Akhil.
Thank you, Abhinav. A very warm good afternoon to everyone. As Prajit and Abhinav did their part really well, now let me tell you what our current Chief Justice of India, Mr. N.V. Ramanna, has to say about the sedition law. Comparing the law to a carpenter, the CJI said there is enormous misuse. Use of sedition is like giving a saw to the carpenter to cut a piece of wood, and he uses it to cut the entire forest itself. Here, in his statement, by saying a piece of wood, Mr. Ramanna is referring to those persons or group which actually get involved in any kind of seditious activity. And the entire forest itself depicts the whole of a nation, especially those who show even a bit of dissent or reluctance towards government or its policies. If any one of you wants to have experience of how sedition is charged on someone, well, I have advice for you. It's free. So what you have to do is just show a bit of dissent towards government policies or just pass any critical comment towards its way of working, and they will show you how they use the term sedition for restricting the speech and expression. This is like if a police officer wants to fix anybody in a village or in its jurisdiction for something, he can use section 124A of the IPC. Sedition is a colonial law which was introduced mainly for the purpose of suppression, who especially dissent against the British Raj. The British government used the law as a tool against our freedom fighters to suppress their raising voices, especially after the revolt of 1857. Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi are some of those prominent names on the list who were charged with the sedition law. So, in 1922, Mahatma Gandhi was charged with the sedition law and punished for his article in Young India. The British responded to his criticism of their policy by charging Gandhiji with the offense of sedition as defined in section 124A of the IPC. It was for exciting disaffection towards the government established by law in India. After getting charged with the sedition law, Mahatma Gandhi had to say, section 124A, under which I am happily charged, is perhaps the prince among the political sections of the IPC designed to suppress the liberty of the citizen. This statement of Mahatma Gandhi is enough to tell us why this law is considered as the restriction on freedom of speech and expression. In 1951 Parliament session, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said, well, sedition is an obnoxious and objectionable law, and it should have no place both for practical and historical reason. If you like, in any body of the law that we might pass, the sooner we get rid of it, the better. But regarding sedition law, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has something else to say and something else to act upon. As he deterred on the issue and his government went ahead with the first amendment that strengthened Article 19, Clause 2 of the Constitution by adding two expressions, friendly relations with foreign state and public order. Even this much year of independence, India continues to struggle to get rid of sedition that was widely used to crush freedom struggle. So, in simple word, Nehru and his government gave government much more power by strengthening the sedition law. Along with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and C. Rajagopalachari were also the major advocates of sedition law. But there were some faces like K.M. Munshi and Somnath Lahiri who were against the law. Eventually, the word sedition disappeared from our constitution, but however, it is still there in our Indian Penal Code. Now, I would like my next group mate Harsh Srivastava to come up and continue the presentation. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Akhil. Good afternoon, ma'am, and my dear batchmate. So, in the process of determining the unconstitutionality of sedition law, now I would like to discuss about the challenges to the sedition law in courts. Basically, after independence, sedition law came into light when in 1951 the Punjab High Court ruled Section 124A under IPC to be unconstitutional. And further, after some time, once again a challenge came in Allahabad High Court also, in which Allahabad High Court has also said that it was unconstitutional, the sedition law. Now, I would like to discuss about these some landmark cases. The first case which I would like to mention here is Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, which came in 2015. In this case, there were two girls, Shaheen and Ritu Srinivasan, who were arrested under Section 66A of IT Act because they have posted the seditious words on Facebook against the government decision to shut down the city on the death of Bal Thackeray. But the court exonerated that and said that mere advocacy or discussion of sedition and also repealed the Sedition 66A of IT Act. And I would like to mention one important thing regarding this case, and which was also interpreted by the Honorable Supreme Court, is the doctrine of severability. Now, I would like to discuss about the second most important and landmark case, Balwant Singh versus State of Punjab, which came in 1995. In this case, was basically came because of slogans. In this case, there were three men who raised slogans, and these slogans were Khalistan Jindabad, Raj Karega Khalsa, after the former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who was assassinated, and they were directly charged with sedition. But the Supreme Court then ruled and given the judgment that casual raising of slogans once or twice by two individuals alone cannot be said that aimed to at exciting or attempt to excite hatred and disaffection for the government. So it's clearly shown that the government is misusing the sedition law. Now I would like to call my next group member Abhay Shukla, who will continue the further discussion.
Thank you, Harsh. Now, let us look at another landmark judgment of Kedarnath Singh versus State of Bihar, 1962. In this case, Supreme Court upheld the constitutional validity of the sedition law. This case is related to the use of word dog, related to the use of wrong word for the party. Kedarnath Singh, he was a member of the Farud Communist Party Bihar, used the word dog for CID officers and used the word gunda for International Congress Party. He went ahead on saying that he believed in revolution, which will come, and in flame of which the capitalist, Jamindar and other Congress leaders of India who have made it their profession to loot the country will reduce to ashes. And on their ashes will establish a government of poor and downtrodden people of India. On basis of these words, he was booked under Section 124A of the IPC. And court found him what is spoken by him was interpreted by violent. But also added that this or writing strong criticism of the government cannot be considered seditious. Hence, after this judgment, Supreme Court attempt to restrict its scope for misuse. Now, the question is, why Supreme Court upheld this Section 124 of the IPC? Because sedition helps the government to curb the secessionist movement and other anti-national propaganda. But according to the NCRB data, number of sedition cases nearly doubled between 2015 and 18. And between 2016 and 18, 332 people were arrested on sedition, but only 7 people were convicted. Hence, if we look at the conviction rate, filed cases under this section is increased by 160%, while conviction rate dropped to 3.3% from 33.3%. Hence, become a tool of government to curb its criticism. Now, the question is good or bad? This is good because it becomes necessary to control terrorist and secessionist activity because there are various groups in the country who want to disintegrate the country and first sedition is required. And it is bad because it becomes a tool of government to harass its dissenters. Now, the common question will come in our mind: the British, who introduced sedition to oppress Indians, have themselves abolished the law in their country. Then there is no reason that why should India not abolish this section? Now, let us look some argument in the favor of sedition. Section 124A of the IPC required for combating anti-national, secessionist, and terrorist element. Second favorable argument is it protects the government from attempt to overthrow with violent and illegal means. And if contempt of the court invite penal action, then contempt of government should also attract punishment. Now the last question is, should sedition law repeal? In a democratic nation, right to freedom of speech and expression should be fully protected. But some restrictions are necessary for safety and integrity of the state, and some of its restrictions are being put by the sedition. But this provision is being blatantly used by government to stifle the voice of anybody who tries to dissent. Hence, if there is a no dissent, there will be a no democracy. If you look at the Kedarnath judgment, it clearly states some conditions. If they are fulfilled, it would constitute the crime, otherwise not. But again and again, this law misused just to curb the voice of citizens who are giving the critical view against the government, which is directly or indirectly infringing the fundamental right of citizens, which are guaranteed to them by the Constitution of India. Now, lastly, the time has changed. There is no use of such colonial law which are more prone towards misuse. UK and US itself abolished the law of sedition by understanding the importance of freedom of speech and expressions of the people in the country. Lastly, in opinion of our group, now time has come for India to repeal this law altogether because there are enough law in our country to deal with external and internal threats to India, and there is no need to continue with the law of sedition. Thanks to all for being a patient listener, and a special thank you to ma'am for providing us opportunity to speak upon this topic. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Abhay, and everyone else in the team for picking up this topic. And the way you people presented it, the way you people researched on it, the way you people talked about it, the way you people spoke about it, actually displayed how you had all your hearts into it. So I think all the students who are picking up the topic by themselves, they are actually doing very good researches. Like it's a good thing that you people took this topic because it did not come to my mind, and this is something which is the debates over this is rising day by day, especially in the recent years. So this is something, at least if not everything, but at least something should be discussed in the class, and in specific the legal provisions regarding it. So I would say that a job well done. All right, thank you very much, this team. And I think we have the last presentation now, and it will be given by